you think you are the author of your own choices. But the terrifying truth is that right now, you are living a paradox. You swear you're going to eat healthy, yet you find yourself mindlessly snacking when you aren't even hungry. You promise to focus on your work, but suddenly your thumb is scrolling your phone for absolutely no reason. Despite your overwhelming sense of control, nearly half of everything you do today was decided for you long before you woke up. Why is it so incredibly hard to act on our best intentions? Why do we continuously choose the stale donut or the doom scroll over our own long-term health and happiness? Society has lied to you about the answer. They told you it takes a magical 21 days to build a new habit. That is a myth. Scientific reality shows it can take anywhere from 18 to 254 days. They also told you the secret to success is just having more willpower. Also false. Willpower is not a character trait. It is a finite muscle. If you use up your self-regulation making complex decisions all day at work, you are statistically guaranteed to fall back on your worst habits by the evening. But there is a hidden biological glitch in your brain, a mechanism that forces you to repeat behaviors you don't even want to do anymore. Once you understand how this invisible script runs your life, you will finally possess the tools to rewrite your reality. Stay with me, because by the end of this, I'm going to hand you the exact blueprint to hijack this neurological loophole. To understand why you self-sabotage, you have to understand the villain of this story. And that villain is your brain's desperate need to save energy. When you first learn a new behavior, your brain is fully awake. It uses a goal-directed system run by your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your mind. Every step is conscious, but thinking is exhausting. So, as you repeat a behavior, your brain completely changes its strategy. It shifts control away from the CEO, handing it over to an automatic autopilot system called the sensorimotor loop. This is the psychological equivalent of a neural default policy. Imagine you are driving your car home from work on a route you've taken 1,000 times. You can be deep in a complex, emotional conversation with a passenger, yet perfectly navigate turns, stops, and traffic lights. Your value-based system is handling the conversation, but your habitual system has taken over the driving. The terrifying part? Your brain does this by outsourcing your self-control entirely to your environment. It creates what researchers call context cues. A context cue is a trigger. It can be a physical location, a time of day, a specific person, or even an internal emotion. When you encounter this trigger, your brain bypasses your conscious decision-making entirely. Let me paint a picture of how extreme this gets. Think of a young girl named Sarah. Sarah is strictly fasting for a religious holiday, but she goes to her weekly soccer practice. The moment practice ends, she casually walks over to the snack table and eats a donut. She didn't consciously decide to break her fast. Her brain recognized the context cue, the soccer field at snack time, and triggered a routine so powerful it completely deleted her religious intentions. We falsely believe that we perform our habits because we want the outcome. But neuroscience proves that our habits eventually become completely outcome insensitive. Your brain uses two different signals to learn. The first is reward prediction error, which is driven by value. It teaches you based on what you actually desire, but the second signal is action prediction error. This signal doesn't care about what you want, it only cares about what you do most often. It reinforces pure repetition. This is why you can find yourself trapped in a doom scroll or reaching for a cigarette, even when you no longer enjoy the reward. Your brain is firing purely based on action prediction error. You are performing the routine simply because the context triggered it. If you doubt how entirely your environment controls you, look at the infamous popcorn study. Researchers went into a movie theater and handed out buckets of popcorn to the audience. But there was a catch. Half the audience received fresh, delicious popcorn. The other half was given rubbery, stale popcorn that had been sitting around for days. The result? The moviegoers, who had a pre-existing habit of eating at the cinema, ate just as much of the disgusting, stale popcorn as the people who had the fresh batch. But then, the researchers pulled a genius move. They took those exact same people and put them in a corporate meeting room instead of a cinema. They handed them the same buckets. In the meeting room, nobody ate the stale popcorn. Without the dim lights and the silver screen to trigger the context cue, their conscious brain woke back up. They realized the food tasted terrible, and they stopped eating. The hunger didn't drive the behavior. The taste didn't drive the behavior. The room drove the behavior. As the behavioral researchers Wood and Ringer noted, behavioral control has been outsourced onto the context cues contiguous with past performance. So, how does the brain permanently lock these behaviors into your subconscious? It uses a biological filing system called task bracketing. Scientists discovered this by training rats to press a sequence of levers in a maze to get a reward. Let's say the sequence was lever 1, lever 2, lever 2. At first, the rats had to think about every single press. But after several weeks, something incredible happened in their brains. The neurons stopped firing during the middle of the routine. Instead, specific neurons fired wildly at the very beginning of the sequence and at the very end. The brain had literally drawn a bracket around the behavior. It grouped the complex steps into a single automated package. It's like a zip file on your computer. Your brain takes a sequence of actions, compresses them into one single unit, and slaps a biological password on it. As the neuroscientist Anne Graybiel elegantly stated, these bracketing patterns serve to package up a behavior that the brain considers valuable and worth keeping in its repertoire. But here is the million-dollar question. If your brain has zipped up your bad habits and locked them in a vault triggered by your environment, how on earth do you break in? How do we move from being victims of our context to the architects of our reality? You don't do it with more willpower. You do it by fundamentally manipulating your environment. Here is the relentless, practical framework you can use to rewire your neural default policy today. First, you must capitalize on the habit discontinuity hypothesis. This is the open loop I promised to close for you. Remember the bizarre cheat code about moving to a new house? Researchers analyzed the daily habits of over 18,000 individuals, specifically looking at their pro-environmental behaviors, like taking the bus instead of driving. They found something shocking. A person's conscious values and attitudes about the environment only translated into real-world action if that person had moved into a new home within the last 12 months. After a year, the window of opportunity slammed shut. Their routines stabilized, and their conscious values stopped mattering. When you change your context, whether you move to a new apartment, start a new job, or even just go on vacation, your old context cues disappear. The automated zip files cannot open. This creates a golden, temporary window where your conscious mind takes the steering wheel back from the autopilot. If you want to build a new identity, you must implement your new routines the second your environment changes, before your brain can build new, lazy associations. Second, you must become a master of friction. People with incredibly high self-control don't actually use willpower. They are just masters at designing environments that make bad habits incredibly difficult and good habits effortlessly lazy. Look at the Bullitt Center in Seattle. It is known as one of the greenest commercial buildings in the world. But they didn't just want the building to be healthy. They wanted the people inside it to be healthy. Instead of hiding the stairs behind a heavy, dark fire door like most buildings, they built a beautiful, glass-enclosed, open stairway right in the main entryway, boasting spectacular views. Meanwhile, they tucked the elevator away out of plain sight. They lowered the friction for the healthy choice and added an immediate short-term reward: the view. They made taking the stairs completely irresistible. You must do the exact same thing in your home. Stop relying on self-restraint. If you want to eat better, increase the friction of bad habits. Put the junk food in a locked container on the highest, hardest to reach shelf in your kitchen. If you want to work out, lower the friction. Lay your gym clothes directly on top of your alarm clock the night before. Third, you must stop setting vague goals and start using implementation intentions. Telling yourself, I want to exercise more, is a wish, not a strategy. You must write a line of code for your brain using if-then statements. You must link your new goal to an unavoidable situational trigger. If I finish my morning cup of coffee, then I will immediately put on my running shoes. This eliminates the need to make a decision. The end of the coffee becomes the trigger that launches the new zip file. Fourth, you must use habit stacking. Your brain already has rock-solid routines built in. Brushing your teeth, starting your car, locking your front door. Do not try to build a new habit in isolation. Graft it onto an old one. Tell yourself, after I brush my teeth, I will immediately stretch for exactly 5 minutes. You are using the momentum of the established neural pathway to power the new behavior. And finally, you must focus entirely on marginal gains. We fail because we try to change our entire lives in a single Sunday afternoon. Instead, you must build tiny habits that are so ridiculously small, it feels downright stupid to skip them. Read one single page of a book. Do one single push-up. By making the behavior microscopic, you completely bypass the brain's resistance to spending energy. Once the habit is locked into a bracketing pattern, you can easily increase the intensity. Compounding a 1% improvement every day leads to a massive, unrecognizable shift over a lifetime. You are not fundamentally broken. You do not lack moral fiber or inner strength. You are simply perfectly adapted to an environment that is currently designed to make you fail. Once you stop fighting your biology and start redesigning your context, everything changes. Because, as the great psychologist William James observed over a century ago, habit covers a very large part of life. Take control of your context, and you will finally take back control of your life. If this paradigm shift changed the way you view your own mind, click the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of human potential. Your future self will thank you. See you in the next one.